Everyone, what's going on? This is the Pocket Moggers. Hope y'all are doing well today. We're going to start our Mog off, our Generation 1 Mog off, that is, with the first evolution line in the Pokedex, the Bulbasaur line. So let's get together and mog some frogs. Bulbasaur here, this cute little guy. I personally love frogs, even though Charmander is actually my favorite of the Kanto starters. But Bulbasaur has still quite a special place in my heart, along with many other Pokemon fans, trainers, card collectors, what have you. As the first grass type starter Pokemon and the first starter Pokemon that we're introduced to, Bulbasaur is a fantastic beginning. That grass and poison type combination that might seem a little odd in Generation 1, given how powerful psychic types are, if you're in the know about that. But it's actually a tremendous asset to Venusaur, especially as the games go on, with the advent of fairy typing, things like that. For those of you who don't know, though, Bulbasaur here is kind of sort of an instant win button for a Generation 1 playthrough. He has tremendous advantages and resistances for gym leaders. Being strong against the first three gym leaders. For those who aren't aware, gym leaders are like bosses in the game. Resisting an additional three and only being weak to two of them. So if you're a first-time trainer, you want to figure out what Pokemon's about, and you need a Pokemon to help you kind of ease your way into things, Bulbasaur is the guy to go to. So Ivysaur here is our introduction to the concept of evolution, the mechanic that allows Pokemon to get stronger in different ways. Some Pokemon evolve by level, some evolve by using certain items on them, some evolve through trading with your friends. There are a whole bunch of different ways Pokemon can evolve. But Ivysaur is the Pokédex's introduction to this concept. And just like most of the middle forms for starter Pokemon, so like Charmeleon for Charmander and Wartortle for Squirtle, Ivysaur is kind of stuck in the cute, wants to be kind of cute, but also wants to be kind of strong or tough looking phase. It's the awkward teenage phase for the starter Pokemon. And it shows. You know, he's got a little bit more personality going on, a little more sass going on in his pictures, but he's still basically the same creature, just a little bit bigger. You know, as time goes on, these evolutions will become a little more dramatic for some species. But Ivysaur kind of exemplifies how evolution mechanics work. Like I said down here, I really like the sprites where it stands up on its hind legs in the old games. In red and blue version, Ivysaur has a sprite where it's just standing up like it's gonna walk on over like a chimpanzee or something, but according to the Pokedex, it can't do that anymore. So, guess Ivysaur is just good like that. Now this specimen right here, Venusaur, this is the good stuff right here. Look at that aura farming it's got in that watercolor art right there. That is just so cool. I mean, this is a big mean frog. Not necessarily like mean to people, but just something you don't want to mess with, like in a Pokemon battle, for example. Um, the stats are great. We'll talk more about that later on. It's an improvement in virtually every way possible. And the best part about it is that this guy evolves 4 levels earlier than the other 2 starter Pokemon do. So at level 32 instead of 36. And that is a pretty significant advantage for trainers who are using Venusaur. To have that raw power earlier on is great. Venusaur has alternate forms to its name as well. We'll talk about those in later videos. I mean, what can you really say about Bulbasaur and its evolutionary family that hasn't been said before? They are all over the place. They're very popular. They're very well regarded for how good they are as Pokemon. So there's not much that I can add to the conversation about these guys. So I'll just let you know some of that stuff. Um, Bulbasaur is still incredibly popular. There's a whole bunch of merchandise about him. Ash Ketchum and May both used a Bulbasaur as their one of their battlers, their primary battlers, excuse me. And there have been other trainers that have had Bulbasaur in the show as well. The Pokemon trainer character in Super Smash Bros. Uses an Ivysaur, a Squirtle, and a Charizard as his Pokemon. And Ivysaur was kind of not as popular as the other two, but has kind of gained a second life in its Smash Brothers incarnation, especially since it sometimes has some really good moves going on there. Venusaur is incredibly popular and powerful and well known. Red, the protagonist of the Generation 1 games, often uses a Venusaur as his starter Pokemon in different series. Like Pokemon Adventures, and in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, it is also his starter Pokemon. The line is just so well regarded and well known and ubiquitous that it would be hard to give it anything but a 9 or a 10. I'm going to go with a 9 out of 10 just because Ivysaur and Venusaur, they're well known, but you don't see them as much as Bulbasaur. And I think it'd be nice if they all got some representation like that. Well, as you can see here, comparing Venusaur to the mean Kanto Pokemon, Venusaur is just kind of walking away with a victory lap here. I mean, there's just not anything, I don't think. Yeah, there's not a single stat that's below the average at all. In fact, most of them are much higher. This nice profile with a decent HP and defense and a pretty good special defense, along with the typing that it has, allows Venusaur to excel defensively. But that 100 special attack stat and the increasing of its speed under the sun with its chlorophyll ability allow Venusaur to become a pretty surprisingly good sweeper, especially with sleep powder to put things to sleep that might otherwise cause it problems. In the early games, it has to rely much more on its bulk because it doesn't have abilities. None of the Pokemon do in the early games. So putting things to sleep, zapping their health away with leech seed, toxicking them, things like that. Whittle down their health and use its big bulk to keep itself alive. But as the generations went on and more tools were added to its kit, it became a much more offensive Pokemon. And Venusaur has kind of just been good its whole existence. It's never like the best Pokemon around or anything like that, but it's always consistently good and worth your time to use. You can't catch these guys anywhere in fire red and leaf green or red, blue, and green. You have to get them as a starter from Professor Oak. You can get one from a girl in Cerulean City in yellow version, so long as Pikachu is a good friend of yours. And Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee have them out in the wild too, but Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are kind of niche, so I didn't really put their locations on that game on here. Most people play either the originals or Fire Red and Leaf Green, so I used that information more so. But yeah, Venusaur's great on this one. I'm going to give him a 10 out of 10. Those moves and having all of these things that it has and being available just at the very beginning of the game, you really can't do better than that. We take a look at our two categories. Venusaur scored a 9 out of 10 in its first one. Well, the Bulbasaur line did, excuse me. And then they scored a 10 out of 10 in the second one. That means they got a 19 out of 20. That's going to be a tough act to follow for quite a while. Venusaur is going to be an early contender for the Generation 1 Mogging champ. But we will see. Like I said in my earlier recording, we will be doing alternate forms for these Pokemon on different videos. This one, it just feels right to get through their original forms first, do everybody as presented, and then do the special forms on their own. Because the special forms are meant to be unique, they're meant to be eye-catching. It's not Gigantamax Venusaur versus regular old Kangler, or that's a bad example because he has a Gigantamax form. Fearow. Gigantamax Venusaur versus Fearow isn't much of a mogging, right? It's so we're not gonna do that. We'll do all of the special forms in their own videos in due time. Anyway, thanks so much. Have a great day. Tell your family that you love them. Stay safe out there in this crazy world, and I'm gonna see you all in the next one.